Craig, welcome to RaithTV. Tell us a bit about yourself. Firstly, what's your new role with the Rovers?
Yeah, well, I'm Craig Smith. I'm 42 and Kirkcaldy born and bred, and I've been a Rovers fan since I was a wee lad, since the late 80s, and I'm one of the co-supporters liaison officers at the club, and myself and Nicola Forrest.
Right, okay. Well, welcome aboard formally. You've had a bit of media exposure already. You know, you've appeared on the popular podcast, but here on RaithTV, I'd like to start by asking you, what was the process like? How did the process work, getting the role, and what was the competition like? Were you aware of any of that?
Yeah, well, I just basically was looking to kind of get more involved with volunteering at the club, and the SLO role came up on social media, so I thought that would be a fairly good role, because my background's in communication and media, so I kind of wanted to do something along those lines, but without kind of doing far too much on match days, because I tend to enjoy watching the Rovers as a fan. So I thought to myself, well, the SLO role might be a good pick, so I put my name down for it and didn't really expect any more about it. I believe Andy Barrowman and the board spoke to quite a few. I think there was a few interested parties, and basically I think there was 4 or 5 of us were invited to kind of sit down and actually discuss the role more at length with Andy and Alan Halliday. And again, I kind of outlined my views and kind of thought to myself, I'll not hear any more about it. And then I got a phone call from Andy and asked, well, you and Nicola were the head and shoulders candidates, do you want to kind of combine the roles? And I thought that would be fantastic, so that's what we decided to do. Good.
And I believe that Supporters Direct were involved, which emphasised the fact that it was a job working with and for the supporters, and as a Rovers supporter yourself, that must have been something that you were keen to put into action.
Aye, very much so. I mean, the SLOs across Scotland, I mean, it varies. I mean, you'll have full-time paid SLOs at some of the bigger clubs, and then some of the other smaller clubs in like League 1, League 2, they tend to have no much representation at all, so I thought it was really important to have that role back in place here. As I say, myself and Nicola being established in that role, I think we could combine it quite well. So as I say, if one of us aren't at a game for any reason, the other one probably will be. So I think it's the way we're working it is kind of a new approach, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah. And talking with yourself and Nicola off camera before we started the interview, as it's a new role for you, and it's a relatively new role for the Rovers, you're still mapping out what the role actually entails. But what's if you had to explain it to a supporter that came up to you and said, what is it exactly you do as SLO?
Yeah.
How would you encompass it?
It's very much, it's an important link between the fans and the club, and it's a two-way street, I see it as. I mean, we've already had people approaching us about certain issues, and that's precisely what we're there for. If anybody's got any problems with the club or any of the club's decisions, we take that to the board and try and get answers for them. The answers they might not particularly like per chance, but it is that kind of opening that dialogue between the two, the fans and the actual club. And again, we're not really mouthpiece for the club either. I'm not to say the club will take decisions that probably fans might not be happy with, but as long as we can explain that to the fans and give them the rationale, I think that's what we're there for. So I think in terms of how it's going to work moving forward, I mean, we're more than approachable. We'll be at the games. If you see us, come and say hello, message us on social media if you've got any particular issues, and I think that's how we'll probably play it going forward. As I say, we are still kind of mapping it out, and I think the timing as well towards the end of this season, I think this summer's going to be important in terms of kind of finding a way forward in terms of what we're going to be doing and how it's going to work, but watch this space for more on that one.
Yeah, and so it sounds like listening, understanding and communication are key aspects that you're both going to bring to the role. You mentioned that you can be contactable on social media. What's your social media feeds for people to find you on?
Yeah, we're at Raith Rovers SLO, so we've got a joint account which we both kind of manage every day on a daily basis, so we're always sharing information that the club puts out as well. And again, you can DM us with anything. The DMs are always open, so if you give us a shout. We do have an email address, but we're having a wee bit of access problems with that at the moment, so again, watch that feed for news on once we get that all fixed, because I think a lot of people will want to kind of email us and things. And again, just approach us at the club. We're there, that's what we're there for. We could jot stuff down when we're at the games, and we can certainly raise it with the board or whoever it needs to be, whatever the issue is, or we could raise it with whoever's appropriate.
Yeah. Getting away from the SLO role and talking to you just solely as a Raith Rovers supporter, you know, I mean, I've known you for a number of years from your background as the Courier sports guy, and now and you work with Fife Council. This season as a whole, from a supporters point of view, How exciting has it been for you watching the games again?
Oh, it's incredible. Like I said, I used to cover the games for the Courier, as you say, and other media outlets. So a lot of the time you're basically working at the games. You can't really enjoy it. So this is one of the first seasons I've actually been able to come back and enjoy the games. And what a season to kind of come back to. On and off the pitch has been fantastic. I think everybody can see that the way the social media's developed, the communication the club's put out there, the hospitality, all those sort of things are really going in the right direction. Speaking to Andy and the board, the club is definitely kind of moving forward in that respect as well. On the pitch, obviously, we've been fantastic. It's a pity we couldn't put Dundee United to the post, and there's a few games against Arbroath I think we'll be cursing at the end of the season, unfortunately. But again, we're in the playoffs, we're finishing second. For a club like ours in the Championship, that's not to be sniffed at, you know. So, yeah, it's fantastic. It's really exciting times. The season's not finished yet. We've got the playoffs to come up as well, and I think we're all excited about who we're going to be playing, and hopefully we'll get to that playoff final and take the ultimate step and go back to the Premier League.
Yeah. And just something that occurred to me now. It's something you mentioned previously. You're not mouthpieces for the board, and neither are you or Nicola yes men or yes women just to do their bidding. You're going to have opinions on your own that you're going to put to the board. But talking about the new regime at Stark, or the regime at Starks Park that's been in for a year, the positives are outweighing the negatives by a long stretch, aren't they?
Oh, very much. I think, like I've touched on, communication's key. I mean, like I say, there will be decisions out there that some fans won't like. Some fans will like them, some fans won't like them. As long as that's explained to fans, I think there's an understanding there. And the communication, even today with the announcement with the tickets going on sale for the playoff, the club was actually communicating really well with the fans on social media. Keep on top of that, it's going to be important. If there's any issues out with the kind of social media exchange that you get between the club and people on social media, just come to us and we'll certainly ask the question. As I say, we've had a few issues already we're kind of trying to iron out and speaking to the board directly about those as well. So, like I say, that's what we're there for. We are a Supporters Liaison Officer for a reason that does what it says in the tin. Just give us a shout and we'll speak to the board and vice versa.
Great. Well, we look forward to hearing more from you in the future, Craig, but in the meantime, thanks and good luck.
Thanks. Cheers.
Nicola, welcome to RaithTV and to the role that you now jointly occupy with Craig Smith. Just as we did with Craig, quick introduction of yourself and what your new role is.
Yep, so my name's Nicola Forrest and I am one of the new Supporter Liaison Officers for the club.
Got you, right. And talking off camera there, we always talk when we meet a Rovers support for the first time that we've never met, like what was your first game and early memories. Just before we get into the SLO stuff, just remind us and remind the people tuning in how you first came to be a Rovers supporter, in what era, and what do you remember of the teams from that time?
Yeah, so tough question. Roughly, I would say about 1992, 93 would be my first Rovers game, so I would have been about 13, 14 at the time. A couple of friends that I was really close with at school were really, really mad Rovers fans and invited me along to a game one Saturday. And then that was it for me really. I came down to that first game and was hooked, and came down to most home games during that season. Kind of fell away from it, I think, once I left school. Went on to have kids and whatnot, but always followed the team from a distance, not really coming down to any home matches or anything. But then when my youngest son started playing for the club, then that really brought me back in to come into the games and stuff as well. So yeah, I've followed them from a distance for a long time, but certainly over, I would say, the last 5-6 years I've been to pretty much every home game and as many away games as possible.
And something I always say to people that started coming in the early 90s, as much as the people that started going when I went in the mid 80s regularly, you come in your first season, they win the league. It's a successful area. For me, Frank Connor, for you, Jimmy Nicholls' time, you must have thought it was going to be like that every year, trophies and success and beautiful football. Yeah, Did it work out that way?
Well, maybe not so much. I think as well, being a female football fan, it was something that was it was really exciting for me because bit of a tomboy growing up, really enjoyed playing football, but there wasn't really any kind of grassroots opportunities for girls. So probably living vicariously through the team more than anything, and watching you know, the football at Starch Park is something that I will always cherish those memories. It's something that I think now, looking at the young girls that come along to the games, and you know, we've got ball attendants that are female as well on a Saturday, and it's really encouraging to see that, you know, there are so many girls now that are becoming involved in the sport. But yeah, I think the 90s was certainly a special time for the club. I think now we're probably in one of the best situations we've been probably since that era. I mean, that's maybe quite a bold sweeping statement, but I think we're getting to the stage where we could easily be challenging the same way we were in the 90s, hopefully, if we keep on the trajectory that we're on. Yeah, so I think lots of exciting times ahead for us.
Yeah. And away from the football, the first team football that you watch and that you enjoy as much as the rest of us, you mentioned your son there playing for Raith Rovers Community Club, the 2012s. It's going to be really important for you as a mum, as a parent of a community club player, and being the SLO and forging those links with the community and the support. It must have been one of the key reasons why you applied. Is that a good guess?
It was, yeah, that, and as you're probably aware, before I used to help out with the Rotary Club as well for the last couple of seasons. It's taken a bit of a pause this season, hoping it's going to be relaunched again next season, but certainly that was something that I felt was important to have, that you know, that connection to the younger fans as well, and absolutely through the community club and the work that's done through the wider support in the community that the club has the connections with. It's all really important. That our supporters of the future. So being involved with them is something that hopefully we can continue to kind of grow and take forward. And the community club are doing so many different amazing things across Kirkcaldy and wider. And I think it's certainly something that as SLOs would definitely like to support as well. So yeah, hopefully it's something we can become more involved in.
And you're still finding your feet as to what the scope and nature of the role is, but just a bit of a challenging question for you, but what do you see as the biggest challenge that you face as SLO going forward? Have you imagined of any of the things that you might make you stop and pause and have to really think about how you handle things? Yeah,
I think it's just building, I suppose, the relationships with the supporters, something that we're really going to have to work hard at. And you know, we've got lots of different supporters groups. We've also got supporters that come along to the games that aren't affiliated with any groups, and it's trying to kind of keep those connections and make new connections with all the supporters, because they are the heart of the club. And it's really, really important for us to make sure that we understand their views and that we can represent them, and obviously have that relationship with them, so that when it does come to any challenging conversations that we need to have, or any issues that they've got, you know, we fully understand and appreciate you know, that their issues, and we can cascade them back to the club. And likewise, if there's any issues or information that has to come from the club to the supporters, then you know, we've already built that kind of strong relationship with them, and it's messages that we can cascade confidently. So I think that although it's a challenging thing for us, I'm looking forward to it, and it's certainly it's the core of what we're going to do as SLOs. It's really about building those trusted relationships and being open and honest with the supporters and with the club.
In many ways, the two of you, it could be said you've got to be all things to all men and women and boys and girls in the Rovers support. And you mentioned the large numbers of supporters groups, who all work in very different ways, and they have different ways of doing things and different reasons to exist. Are you looking forward to the role, dealing with all these different situations?
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think that's what makes it exciting, and that's what makes it a challenge. And every group, as you said, will have their own experiences of you know, what it's like for them and their supporters, and you know, have their own kind of issues and challenges that potentially they've not had a voice for in the past. And I think that's something that's really important, that we recognise that and give them the opportunity to kind of share their views. So yeah, definitely, and I think as Craig's already mentioned, we're open to, you know, anybody contacting us, reaching out. We're hopefully, and again, this is something that we're going to work on over the weeks when the season finishes, to decide, you know, basically what we're going to take forward with the SLO role. But we're hoping to have forums for fans to be able to kind of capture their views and their experiences of this season, and what we could potentially make different and improve upon next season. So we've got lots of ideas kind of swirling around there, and hopefully it's something that we'll be able to kind of get set up and move forward very, very soon.
And does that role become more daunting if potentially we make the step up and we're successful in the playoffs?
Yeah,
Big question.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it more daunting, because, as I said, the supporters are the heart of the club, irrelevant of which division we're in, which, you know, whether we're in the Premiership, whether we're in the Championship. I think it just makes it more important for us to be switched on, and, you know, to have the kind of foresight to look to the future for the fans. And I think one of the things that we want to do as well is make match day experiences really, you know, worthwhile for the fans, especially when they're travelling away from home. So I suppose if we move into the Premiership and we're maybe going a wee bit further afield for games and stuff, it'll be more important for us to kind of have that sort of package information for fans when it comes to being an away support as well, which is something that we'll look to do and share via social media as well. So yeah, lots of work for us to do, but I think as you've said before, Craig and I, we're a good team. We were friends before the role, so we do know each other quite well, and we're really keen to work together and just really make this a success.
Finally, and Craig's going to kick my backside for not allowing him to answer this question as well. As a Rovers fan, all your life since you were a young teenager, favourite ever player?
Oh my goodness, that's too hard a question. That is too hard a question.
I love asking people that one.
Honestly, favourite ever player. I think I have to pick from the current squad, if I'm honest. I honestly do. Sam Stanton stands out for me. He does. I think he's somebody that is just dependable. He will give his all every time he's on that pitch, and could quite easily step up and play in the Premiership. I'm so glad that we've managed to get him to sign and extend his contract, because he's certainly one of my favourite players. And Scott Brown as well. I think he's a fantastic captain. Yeah, so the two of them are probably, I'll stick with the current squad, they're probably my favourite players at the moment.
Good answer, thanks for that, and good luck in the role.
Thank you.